Yo, what's up? Welcome back, everybody, to ItizChristion, and once again, like clockwork, we are back here with another Survivor video, another Survivor recap. This time, it's Season 47, Episode 5. So, Survivor, Season 47, Episode 5. Let's set the scene, set the table, let you guys run down who all is left. We got Andy, we got Annika, we got Rachel, we got Sierra, we got Sam. On Tuku, it's Kyle, Tiana, Sue, Gabe, and Caroline. On Lavo, we have Teeny, Rome, Genevieve, and Soul. Of course, Lavo, the smallest group, as they, on the heels of episode 4, they are now the smallest group. They have lost Keyshawn, Dr. Keyshawn. He was blindsided by it. Genevieve took the vote into her own hands, told Rome about it. He played that steal a vote on Keyshawn, took his vote and voted for him twice. That's how it went. So, reeling from that, we go back to Lavo. And on Lavo, Teeny's a little bit confused by the vote. She thought it would be Rome. As a matter of fact, that was the plan in her head going into things. Because that's what she was told by Genevieve. That's what she was told by Saul. Of course, the course of action changed at the last moment, and they didn't need to clue Teeny in anyway because Teeny didn't have her vote. So it wasn't a big deal for them to tell her. And so anyway, speaking of that, Rome, of course, found out about the plan to get him out by Keyshawn, and he confronts Teeny about it, saying, "Hey, why didn't you clue me in? And now you should feel like you're on the bottom." That's what he's kind of insinuating to her. All right, we're resuming this recording right now. So we're picking up where we left off. Yes, so this is in the aftermath of the previous tribal council where Teeny, has just gotten pressed by Rome about not cluing him in on the fact that there was a plan to get him out. And her response was, "Well, I didn't have a vote anyway, so it wouldn't have really mattered what I said to you." So he was like, "Well, you still should have told me." Fair enough. Whatever. But yeah, Genevieve talks to Teeny and everything, and says everything between them is cool and whatever. She's trying to kind of mend that fence, she wanted to let her know why she ended up targeting Keyshawn and everything, and so they just go over that, and everything kind of smooths over. I will say this, and that in the previous recap, I wasn't happy about Genevieve's move because I'm like, you don't need to take the reins in a voting decision if your name is not being brought up and you're not in danger of going home at that time. Because I do personally believe that you want to minimize your threat level for as long as possible in the early stages of the game. And so, yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with it initially, but looking back on it now on how things seem to be playing out, I think that it was okay what she did, because Rome and Saul are going to be at each other regardless, which makes her and Genevieve and Teeny really the most important players on that tribe. Or so we think, because Rome is now dead set more on Teeny than he is on Saul, to the point where he's willing to temporarily build an alliance or a bridge with Saul just to take out Teeny. So there's been moving parts, but overall Genevieve's name is not in one of these people's mouths at all. So it really wasn't too bad. We immediately go from Lavo's aftermath into a reward challenge. Reward challenge is going to be the reward as Sanctuary, where they'll get to enjoy hot dogs, they'll get to play cornhole, and most importantly, we'll get to talk game with each each other, and that's significant because in this challenge, for the first time, while they are still in tribes of 3, they're going to be reassigned groups, teams for this challenge specifically. You have a blue team, you have a yellow team. The first one to complete it, they get to go to Sanctuary and communicate amongst each other, eat the hot dogs, play cornhole, and they don't have to be from the same tribe to be in the on the team. Now, with that being said, once the challenge is over, they do go back to being the same 3 tribes once again. So yeah. We get it split up as a blue team and a yellow team. As I said, on the blue team, we got Annika, we got Saul, we got Rome, we got Gabe, we got Andy, Sierra, Genevieve. So really, Lavo here has 3 out of their 4 members on this team. They got Saul, they got Rome, and they have Genevieve. In this tribe, they also have 2 people from Gata with Andy and... No, I'm sorry, 3 people from Gata with Andy and Sierra and Annika. And then 1 person from Tuku and Gabe. The yellow team pretty much has all Tuku members. You got Sue on there, Caroline, Tiana, and Sam. But they also have Rachel from I'm sorry. I don't know what I'm saying. You got Sue, Caroline, Tiana, and Kyle from Tuku, and then Sam and Rachel, obviously, from Gata, and Teeny from Lavo. She's the only member of Lavo to make it on this team. All right, so we get through the challenge. We get through it. It's close at the end, but the yellow team ends up making it through, meaning the team of Sam, Rachel, Teeny, Kyle, Tiana, Sue, and Caroline. They're the ones who get to go to Sanctuary. They're the ones who get to discuss amongst each other. And this is significant because the other players on the losing team, they have to go back to their respective camps, nothing in hand. As Jeff always says, I got nothing for you. And so, yeah, they are not too happy, but we're gonna see how things play out at this Sanctuary. All right, guys. We see it, and it's kind of narrated by Kyle. You know, he's saying it's great to get a chance to talk to all these people. It's great to have a moment to get to eat some better food than what they've been used to, right? The rice, we hear it all the time. And yeah, Kyle's just happy to be there. Kyle significantly gets a veggie dog while everybody else gets the beef hot dogs because he's a vegetarian, and of course Survivor caters to their people, so he got the veggie dog. That was nice. There are no condiments, which was noted to me by both the contestants. They said it, but also my grandma, who I watched Survivor with. She mentioned that there was no condiments available for the hot dog. It is what it is. It's whatever, dude. It's a hot dog. I'm thankful regardless in that moment in time. And then you have Teeny decides to take advantage of the opportunity she's been presented, which is her role of being the only Labo member to be on this team that won Sanctuary. And she takes this time to say to everybody exactly what went down at Tribal Council and how she was blindsided. Keyshawn was voted out. And how it's kind of Rome and Genevieve that are running things, and I thought this is an excellent use of her poll in that moment, because nobody's gonna be able to trace it back to her until at least the merge, because she's none of the other Lavo members are gonna get to speak with the other tribes anytime soon, at least from what we see. So yeah, Teeny gets to get this off, and that's great. And so you have everybody kind of talking about how the dynamics seem from the outside looking in. Sue from Tuku tells Sam and Sam and who else is on the team, the yellow team. Sierra was not there, so she tells in front of Sam and Rachel that it's perceived from them that Sam and Sierra are kind of running things. And quite frankly, that's the perception I've had too leading into this episode. We'll see more about that later on in the episode, but yeah, that's how I felt too. So it makes sense. Sam kind of, pushes down those allegations a little bit. He kind of downplays it, like, nah, not really. We're kind of running everything together. And then Tiana from Tuku tells everyone there about Gabe, who played his role at the first tribal, kind of in a way, like, hey, you might not be able to trust this guy. Like, we had no idea, and he just pulled it out. That means he's a stealthy player. He's somebody that you have to keep your eyes on. That's definitely true, I feel, about Gabe. But maybe not her best move, considering Sue is there, Caroline's there, and Kyle is there. Her other tribe mates, except for Gabe. And Gabe, obviously, is the only one who cannot defend himself from any of that. So, he's kind of being targeted by her in a place where he has no say of his own outcome. So yeah, Sue gets upset about that because Gabe, as we've discussed in previous recaps, is her number one ally. They right off of each other. It's funny because Caroline tells Rachel that Sue's her number one, but Sue is very clearly locked in with Gabe, and so that's why what Tiana does rubs her the wrong way, and she vows to tell Gabe and let him know when they get back, because it's like, hey, we can't really trust Tiana. Interesting stuff. We get back to Lavo, and this is Lavo without Teeny, because of course Teeny's in Sanctuary, and we got Rome, Genevieve, and Saul. Rome tells Saul that, today's been a tough day. Rome's kind of going through, he's showing a little bit more vulnerability, a little bit more emotion. Now you can argue to the extent of how real this really is from him. Is it just performative? Is it just a show? But nonetheless, he's showing that he's having a little bit more emotion. And so he also slides across Saul like, hey, I want to get Teeny out. Genevieve's open to working with you, but we're just working with you. Short term, we don't have any long term plans with you. And so Saul to that is a little bit hurt and crushed inside because Genevieve, he really thought that he could work with her, and he says to himself, just kind of reflecting on everything, he's like, I've worked in sales for I forget how long he's been working in sales with. I'm usually the one that's trying to make something seem bigger than it is or whatever. And now I feel like this is a bit of humble pie for me because I'm getting what I've given out in the past before. And rightfully so that he feels that way. But yeah, that kind of blows up a little bit. You have Saul go back and talk to Genevieve. Genevieve comes over and Saul's like, hey, you got me, and she's like, what do you mean? He's like, well, Rome told me that you're only looking to work with me, for a little bit, you don't have any long-term plans. And her confession is, he's like, yeah, that is how I feel, but why does he know that? Why would Rome tell him that? That's bad gameplay. I don't care how much you don't like the guy, Rome. You have to sound a little bit better. The way that Rome tries to play, or is trying to play, is very authoritarian style. Hey, everybody's going to do things the way that I say. I'm going to tell them they're going to do it, and they're going to do it. It's very Boston Rob-esque, especially, Redemption Island, Boston Rob. We saw he tried it on Winners at War, and it did not work out well for him. Sarah and company kind of flipped the script on him. So that's what Rome's reminding me of. A more sloppy, worse version of a Boston Rob type of game. But this has now definitely put in Genevieve's mind that, no, maybe Rome isn't the move moving forward. Maybe I can't work with this guy. I can't trust him to keep his mouth shut or to play things out. On Gata, Andy, Annika, and Sierra are left behind. They're hungry, so they try to go fishing. Nothing's working for them. Sam and Rachel eventually come back, and they see them struggling, and Sam lets Sierra know what's going on as far as what Sue said, where everybody thinks that they're running the show, and Sierra obviously is like, oh, why do you think that, and whatever. And it's like, the funny part about it is it's true, but they're just mad that it's so obvious and evident to everybody else. That's what it really boils down to. And as I previously suspected, I think that Sierra will end up leading more towards Sam and Andy than that breadwinners, because it just has seemed throughout this whole time that her and Sam are like this. The breadwinners is a little bit more loosey-goosey. Maybe even you think Annika and Rachel are a little bit closer than they are with Sierra. Lavo, we go back to Lavo. Teeny returns and pretty much just fabricates everything that happened there as far as her involvement, because she doesn't say that she told them anything in regards to what happened at Tribal. And Rome kind of makes a note of that. It's like, I feel like she could have gotten a lot of information and she took the opportunity to take none. No, Rome. She took a lot of information. She didn't clue you guys in on that she gained a lot of information. And I think this was a nice move from Teeny. And the reason why is because she already feels as though she can't really trust these people, right? I mean, you can't trust anybody on Survivor, but she already cannot trust them based on the events of the last night, where she thought her and Keyshawn, that was her close guy. And she thought that those two were also in tight with Genevieve and Rome, or Genevieve and Saul, that it would be one of Rome or Saul, basically. And so now she feels like she doesn't know who she can trust within her tribe. So, hey, I'm not going to disclose to you guys everything either. And I think that's very fair. Rome walks away from the whole tribe, and so it's all Genevieve and Teeny left sitting there, and they're kind of talking about, like, Genevieve brings it up, like, hey, I thought he could work with him, but he's so all over the place. Like, he told Saul, she tells Teeny in front of Saul, like, he told Saul that I don't want to work with him long term. Like, I can't afford to be working with somebody like that. And so it seems like Rome's empire is finally starting to crumble. Greatly enough. We go back to Tuku. Sue and Tiana return. Sue lets Gabe know about what Tiana was saying and everything. Caroline doesn't want any bad vibes within the tribe, because she kind of one that works with everybody. So she tries to mend everything and make sure everybody's kumbaya, having a good time. That Gabe is cool, Tiana is cool, with Sue is cool, with everybody in the tribe. You know what I'm saying? Kyle's cool with everybody anyway, so no problem with him. Caroline runs by Tiana that Gabe doesn't trust her, because obviously Sue told Gabe about what Tiana did. And so Caroline tells Tiana that she again wants everything to be kumbaya, and Tiana feels like, hey, I should probably do this because I don't want my tribe mates to think that I'm not listening to them. So she goes and she apologizes to Gabe and says, I told it to a small group of people. It wasn't like trying to blow your game up, which isn't true and is easily disproven. To which Gabe checks back with Sue, and he finds out that that's not the case. I don't know why she lied about that at that point. Once you're caught in it, just say, yeah, it kind of slipped out. I let everybody know, whatever. But don't then try to qualify it and give an extra lie on top of the original lie that you told. Because again, Sue was there and Sue knows what happened. So that's life on everything. It seems like on the Gata tribe, Sierra's kind of in the middle. She's kind of pulling. Which way she goes kind of determines what everything is. On Lavo, it seems like they've all started to turn around, and that Rome has been casted out as the number one expendable team member. And then on Tuku, for me right now, it seems like Tiana would be the easy vote out. That's the dynamics of everything. We get to immunity challenge. This immunity challenge, it starts out with them having to saw something, and then they have to knock down these blocks, and then after they knock down the blocks, they have to rebuild them. so that it's the same design as when it first happened. Anyway, Tuku wins. Labo comes in second, sending Gata to Tribal Council. And Gata had gotten behind early on because Andy was unable to saw correctly. He even had to saw the wrong way when they first started. This set them back along the way. And so on Gata, we have Annika winning out Andy, obviously because he's expendable, because he's just a wild card. He's a loose cannon. We saw from episode 1, you can't really expect too much from this guy going long term, as in terms of loyalty especially. Like, you want to get somebody like that out. Sam, on the other hand, wants Annika out because he feels like, I believe, that Annika is the number one detriment to him as far as pulling in Sierra as his number one, because as long as Annika's there, Sierra has more of a tie with the girls. And if he's able to get Annika out, then he knows that Sierra has to work with him regardless. So that's how it is. Andy figured out Sam's plan is to get Annika out, and he has told Sierra and Andy about it. That's the 3 numbers. So he kind of sets in motion for Andy to play with Rachel and Annika and say, I'm willing to work with you guys. I'm throwing out a lifeline. I don't have anybody to work with in this game. And it's easily believable because Andy obviously casted himself out in that first episode. So it seems on the outside looking in that he really is on the bottom. But he's not. He knows what's going on. And this part really stuck out to me because it's like, hey, maybe Andy is smarter than I give him credit for. He's really good at playing dumb in this game, and possibly, potentially led me to believe that blow up at the beginning could have been calculated as a way to make him look unstable. I think it may all have been a part of this game plan. Possibly. Not 100% confirmed on that. We have Sierra. She's obviously, the plan is for her, Sam and Andy, to get out Annika, but she thinks one more time, hey, maybe I should get out Andy. Maybe that is better for my game. Maybe it is better to work with the girls. And then Sam still has to work with me. I'm in control of the dynamic of us two. And that's very, very compelling, honestly. I don't know which decision I would have made if I'm in her space. I just know Annika's a very strong player, and I would want Andy out soon because of the fact that he's so unpredictable. Anyway, we get to the vote out, and it ends up being Annika. And you can see she is so shocked when it happens. She is stunned. She doesn't know how it could have gone down, and obviously the only person that didn't vote for her was Rachel. She didn't have her vote because she lost her vote in that one journey that she went on. And yeah, she was just so shocked. She wouldn't even say thank you or love you guys or whatever. She was just not cool and upset about it, and I feel her, honestly. The way Sierra was not looking at her, avoiding eye contact, it was just crazy. The last thing that I want to mention that stood out to me in this tribal council, on top of what we just talked about with Andy in terms of him, being maybe smarter than I gave him credit for it, I went from thinking he's smarter to thinking this guy might be a little bit sick, just the verbiage he chose to use. He said, when he wrote down Annika's name, he says, I've been burying you for 10 days, and this is your headstone. That's a little demented in my mind. I'm not a fan of this Andy guy, and quite frankly, I hope that they see it well enough to get him out soon. He's chaotic, yes. He may kind of be fun TV, but I don't think he's well upstairs, dude. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think that guy's alright. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, this recap of Survivor Season 47, Episode 5, make sure you leave a like on it, and consider subscribing to the channel, clicking the bell next to it so you get updated every single time I upload. Of course, leave your comment. Let me know what you thought. But overall, yeah, I like this episode. I did like them splitting those two teams up and giving that sanctuary moment for people outside of your tribe to strategize pre-merge and everything. I am interested to see when a merge might happen. Who is my front runner? I mean, Genevieve's in a great spot, of course, but I don't know yet who I think is winning. There's a strong possibility of somebody from the Sierra Sam duo that they could win, for sure. But my favorites, of course, still are like Saul and Kyle, and I like Tiana. Yeah, those are probably my favorites, and like I said before, those are who I think is in the lead for winning. Yeah, so I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope you have a great day. Bye bye.